Welcome back, everyone. How we doing? Happy Wednesday. Welcome back. That's right, Chef. Welcome back, everyone. All the familiar faces. Back to a normal day today. Love it. Back to our normal day. Morning, morning, morning. Wait a few minutes for everyone to jump in. Got some interesting stuff today. Some interesting events. Some reasons for chop, for sure. As you can see on my whiteboard behind me, I have 3 reasons for chop, and I actually think I left one out, so possibly even 4 reasons for it. So it could be one of those back-off days, for sure. After a few nice days of downside, it could be a little bit of a back-off day, and we have some very clear levels to define our thesis today. Very clear. I appreciate that, Chef. Thank you for the support, man. Thanks for everyone for the support over the last 2 days. It's been that was a lot. Streaming over the last 3 days, just around 11 to 12 hours in the last 3 days. So, yeah, definitely tiring. Definitely a lot of talking. Definitely a lot of... surprised I haven't lost my voice yet. But the midst. That's right. Midst of sell the house long NVIDIA. Hey, man, truthfully, I think there is going to be some really nice opportunities that come out of this market downside. I mean, this is awesome. So, I'm already I'm already, thinking about making sure I got cash ready. Making sure I got some cash ready, making sure I'm ready to strike if I see, some shares that I want to pick up, some opportunistic pullbacks for sure. We're in the midst of a potential opportunity, right? So, let's lock in today. Let's see what we can find. Let's see if there's any nice opportunities or good theses we can follow today. But let's also focus on the NTZ. Excuse me. Focus on where I believe chop is possible. Okay? All right. So if you guys could, please press that like button as you jump in. We obviously will not have as many people today. Probably not, because I don't know. I don't know why they wouldn't. It's the same thing that they got previously. So we'll see what we can get up to today. Press that like button, subscribe. Maybe we can get 1,500 likes. Maybe that's our new goal after this 3-day event. Maybe we can pop it up to 1,500. 1,500 likes, that's the goal today. Make sure to fill out the attendance form. The attendance form will be Wednesday to Friday. So for you guys that show up Wednesday to Friday, today to Friday, we'll do some giveaways as well on that attendance form as we typically do. So make sure to check that out down below. Make sure to fill that out. I'm pretty sure I got that in the description again today. And yes, I do. Okay. All right. Let's do it, guys. Press that like button, subscribe. Here we go. All right. We are good to go. So, my face is a little bit... Hold on. It's a little bit not perfectly centered. That bothers me. There we go. Okay. NASDAQ futures. Actually, you know what? We probably should start with the economic calendar, huh? Economic calendar. We do have FOMC today. So let me drag that in for you. You can see right here, Wednesday, FOMC minutes. We do have, do I think that really does anything today? Probably not. But do I think that could be a reason for chop in anticipation? Absolutely. So that is part of, we have some reasons to think that it could be a little bit slow today. That's definitely one of them. Who is calling me from Huntington Park, California? Not going to answer. Number one is this right here, right? FOMC minutes, 2 o'clock. That could definitely drive some, just lackluster pre-market action that just doesn't really give us, lackluster morning action that really doesn't give us much direction prior to that meeting. So let's just understand that, stepping in today. I think that's huge. And then tomorrow, we do have a big event. We do have some big data tomorrow, unemployment claims, average hourly earnings. So we do have some stuff tomorrow, manufacturing PMI Friday. And then, of course, I'm not even going to pull it up because it's just a waste of time. But, of course, NVIDIA earnings tonight, guys. NVIDIA earnings tonight, can't state how important that is. That's just massive. So big NVIDIA earnings, big, anticipatory event after hours. Let's understand that as well. Sid, appreciate that, man. Thank you for the prep and espresso on me today. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Definitely going to need some. Margin, I will not be there for, it's FOMC minutes margin. So FOMC minutes is really not anything to be, getting hyped up about. FOMC minutes is simply a press release that they already decided on things. It's not going to do anything, guys. FOMC minutes is not going to be the reason this market goes in a large direction. If the market goes in the next large direction, it is likely because of NVIDIA earnings. That is way more important than FOMC minutes, in my opinion here. There's nothing really on the verge of changing. Everything's pretty status quo on that side. Minutes is not where big changes are made anyway. So, yeah, nothing. Really, all you would expect is that creates more chop, more uncertainty, more, I don't really know, just sort of no big-sided moves, right? So we got that. We got NVIDIA earnings after hours. On top of that, today is options expiration, right? The monthly expiration on the options. Another reason that could cause a little bit of chop and, just not really directional moves. So there's a lot of reasons on the outstanding why that could happen. And then on top of that, right, NASDAQ futures, let's go ahead and take a look at where we're trading. We are just trading right between our Thursday low, which was our major key level that we've been talking about all week, which also was the rejections on Monday, right? And you can see that we traded lower into our daily 100, which was a fantastic call yesterday, may I add. So if you guys came to the pre-market stream yesterday, we said do not short into the daily 100 SMA. All right, what did the market do at the daily 100 SMA yesterday? It was the exact low of day on both the NASDAQ and the ES, right? The exact low of day, the exact trap that had the, the sweaty bears trying to just continue to chase downside, getting absolutely wrecked. So again, right, that's just not a spot to short into. It's just not. Like we talked about yesterday. You go to a fund manager and say, hey, man, put all of the funds in this establishment, short at the 100, you would get arrested, right? That's just not a spot to ever short the market. There's algorithmic buying at that level. And so it's going to be a battle here today, right? It's not going to just be some slip and slide through the daily 100. There's going to be a lot of traps. There's so many orders stacked up here. This is a daily 100 SMA, a major moving average. And so, shorting into this level doesn't really sound that nice. Right? And then longing into this rejection point does not seem very nice, right? Any longs, even from this low yesterday, resulted in basically just a scalp that went basically nowhere, right? So the moves are just not amounting to anything inside of this range. The longs and even the shorts are just not amounting to big moves. It is inside of this range, right? So if I was you today, man, I mean, I'm just being honest with you. With all these things that we just talked about, NVIDIA earnings, options expiration, FOMC minutes, data tomorrow, that's likely more important. On top of that, sitting at the daily 100 and fading and staying under the supply, all of these things considered, I would expect a very, very slow day. Honestly. I mean, I see everything expected. That's everything I could name there. All the things I'm naming there would give me the realization that is possible. So it's not guaranteed, right? Nothing on the market's guaranteed. We know that by now. I hope that people that watch me are mature enough to understand that by now. But that's my mindset coming into the day, okay? That's at least my mindset coming into the day. If I'm going to long or short this market today, I would maybe look to fade this high. If we do get that little pop and fade, maybe that's interesting up there, right? Or if we get maybe another trapped short underneath that 100, that could be an interesting long similar to yesterday, right? So if I'm going to long, I'm going to look for traps here. If I'm going to short, I'm going to look for fades up here. And if I'm going to get direction today, which would be rare but possible, if I see failures under yesterday's lows in the daily 100, maybe a little bit of continuation down to our 24,000. And if we do, which I doubt before NVIDIA earnings, but if we do reclaim the daily 50 and reclaim this Thursday low by some means, then maybe there is a long. Yeah, I think the trap long today, Brian, might be the best looking trade, right? Get some more trapped longs. I'm sorry, trapped. Actually, I sort of was on the. I mean, both traps are good, right? I think the trap short long is actually not a bad look if we get another one of those daily 100 traps down here, right? Like this ES long yesterday was quite beautiful. We talked about this live on YouTube yesterday in front of thousands. It was right here. So we had that little break under the 100 SMA here, had a little bit of a liquidity, right, grab right here, and then look at that long that came in pretty much the next half an hour, right? So that was pretty nice underneath that daily 100. I would be interested in that again today, right? I'd be interested to see if that happens. Both sides, right? Both sides. So, yeah, I mean, right now, guys, to be honest, NTZ on the NASDAQ, and there's one more thing I want to show you, okay? This is going to be your fifth reason for potential chop today, and that is right here, my friends. If you go out to the 4-hour chart, I want you to realize what zone you are trading in, right? Take a look at this 4-hour chart. You are trading in this exact zone right here. That is the zone that we traded in and had a lot of difficulty trading and a lot of volatility within after the Trump tariff news. So we had a Trump tariff news that dropped us into this low, and then you started to trade within this area for a week, right? This was a week-long chop zone in here. And look at where you're trading. You're in the same spot. It's the exact same spot. So I personally want to see the market get over this high or below these lows. Anything inside of here, inside this zone right here, does not invite me very much, okay? So just understand that today. I'm not saying there won't be opportunity. Just make sure you know where you are on the macro. It's very important to understand these things. Where am I when I zoom out? Where am I when I zoom out? That's always important to remember on the intraday session. Where am I when I zoom out? I'm inside of this very tight range from the last few trading days, okay? Let's see if we can get something outside of it. For now, I don't really see it. S&P 500 futures actually rejecting a very clear level today, so let me go ahead and show you. The S&P 500, which similar to the NASDAQ, you can see right here, this is sort of the zone that would be my NTZ today. So right inside of here is where I would not be looking to get aggressive. Right in here, let me go ahead and make this gray so we can protect ourselves today. So right there, all right, you have Friday lows, you have this little area here, you have the rejections from the pre-market yesterday, and you have perfect high a day from yesterday right there. Perfect high a day. So this is clearly your rejection zone, right? 6670, 6687. You can see that the S&P 500 right now is fading right off 6670. Now, the lows, 6600 to 6580, right? Nice big holds down there yesterday, big holds here, big traps down here on the short side. That is your zone today, right? Right in there. So if you're going to trade today, if you're going to trade where we're currently sitting, you need to be looking scalp short or scalp long, or you need to wait for it to break this channel. Over PDH, I think would actually be quite an interesting long towards this daily 50, or under the daily 100, maybe under 6580, could be actually a nice interesting short into 6500. But where we're looking right now on the S&P 500, you can see we are exactly within yesterday's range, right? This is the exact yesterday's range right here and right here. I can't tell you how important it has been for me lately to make sure I understand the previous day's range. And I hope that you guys are starting to realize this as well. You are not going to look back on a trading day that stayed within the prior day range and wish that you traded or wish that you took a opportunity, okay? If this market stays in here all day, you are going to look at this and wish you never showed up. So you simply wait until this breaks this range today, or you're going to trade within this chop from the ES yesterday, which I highly, highly do not recommend. Up to you, right? That's where your discipline comes to play. That is where discipline comes in, okay? So that's that. If you guys could, please press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. All right, so the QQQ and the QQQ and the SPY are a little bit confusing to me today. This is a very disgusting zone down here. I don't like any of this. To be honest, I almost just want to delete all my levels and just watch this because this is it's just not inviting down here. Let's look at the 4-hour chart to start. 4-hour, you can see this is a humongous low here. 590, 591, the level that we had yesterday on the Qs. Very major triple bottom low here. I mean, just a massive demand spot that holding again today, right? So that's very clear. I would not want to be short into this low at 590. That's clear as day. You also have the daily 100 sitting right below that. And now on the flip side, I really don't like any longs if you're still below this 50 SMA right here at 606. So to be honest, I think I'm going to delete these levels. I think I'm just going to keep these two on my charts today. Either 606 or down at this low. If we don't hit one of those levels, I would be trading in no man's land, really, right? The only level you can maybe put on your charts is previous day high, which is like 601.70s. You could maybe put PDH on if there's a reaction at PDH. Maybe there's a little bit of a trading opportunity, 601.79. Don't love that, but, you know, could look for that PDH opportunity. It's something you can watch right there, 601.79, if you want to put that on your levels, on your charts. But to be honest, I like this. I like this. I like this as my demand low. I like this Thursday low and this rejection and that daily 50 as my supply high. And I think the best trade possibly here could be that short at 606, right? That really could be. This little retest rejection right here. All right, give me another fade at the daily 50, another fade at these lows, another fade at the Thursday low. Give me a little pop and fade back at that level. That could be the best trade right there. That is where the best opportunities will arise, here or here. That is without a doubt. There's no question that either here or here will be the best opportunity. Now, will we be able to control our mentality, control our mindset, control our greed on the intraday when we see the market going straight up off the open, right? So we're looking at this on the 30 minutes saying, hey, this is where very clear levels are sitting, right? That's pretty damn easy to read. Now, the question is, when we're looking at the chart like this today and the QQQ is doing something like this, right? Are we going to be able to control ourselves from taking a trade, right? Or are we going to be able to control ourselves from taking a trade when the QQQ looks something like this off the open? That's the question, right? That's the hard part about trading. You're so much watching these short-term time frames that you forget about that this is just absolutely pointless action. It's pointless. Nothing's breaking. Nothing's influential in there. A break of this low is influential. A reclaim of this high is influential. A rejection of this high is influential. A bounce off this low is influential. Anything else in here is pointless. This is pointless price action, right? That will basically amount to nothing until you get to a level. Do you want to take it to that level? Do you want to trade in the middle towards that level? That's up to you, but you have to understand that that price action absolutely is more difficult to trade. SPY, pretty much the same as the S&P 500. You can see we are rejecting these previous Friday lows. We can see we're rejecting that PDH. That's where we're sitting right now. So 663, 665 does look like a very potential rejection point today. You can see these previous Friday lows, yesterday's highs, and look at the pre-market rejection coming in. Not a fan of the downside move, if I was to be honest. If I zoom out, you'll see some lows that are sort of peppered in down here that are just a little bit sketchy to short into. You have these lows down here at 661. See this low right here at 661.21. Not a fan of shorting into that low. I'm really not a fan of shorting anywhere into these lows down here. So I am definitely on the side of the market today. I am on the side of the market slowing down the downside move. Now, here's the big reason why. Let me explain to you this, okay? This is the big reason why I am on the side of the market slowing down the downside, and that is right here, guys. Let me go ahead and get you a blank chart, and I will show you that right here. So here you go on the daily chart on the S&P 500. I believe that your downside move will slow down right there. I'm not saying that you are going to go higher, but I am definitely saying that I would be very careful of trying to take this lower, okay? Over the last 4 days, you have gone down 4% on this market right into a daily 100 SMA. There is a very good reason. There is a very, to be surprised if the market holds here today or maybe goes slightly higher or maybe fakes out again and then holds higher. If that happened today, God, that would be the most obvious thing to happen, right? The surprising thing for me would be another huge red day under the daily 100. That would be surprising to me. I would have every reason to think that this daily 100 puts up somewhat of a fight into at least tonight before NVIDIA earnings, and then NVIDIA earnings could decide that move. I would say before tonight, it is very likely that we do not see a break of this daily 100 on the S&P 500. The SPY is getting close to it, still not right at it. The Q's close to it, still not right at it. And the NASDAQ futures is sitting right on it. All right, look at that. NASDAQ futures. So, yeah, for me, I'm never going to just short into a daily 100 as you sit right near it. And so I think it's a pause day. I absolutely agree. You pause here. You just sort of trade sideways and then let NVIDIA decide whether we're going to do this or this. That's my thesis today, and I will stay pretty headstrong on that today because I think that's a very I just think that makes a lot of sense. So that's my read, right? I always want to have, and you guys should have these reads too, right? What's your read coming into the day? It's not a bias. It's just an educated opinion about what's possible through experience. And so when I look at this chart, all these charts, I'm seeing that read is pretty damn clear. So that's what I'm gonna give you today on the market side. Let's see what happens. But I would be very conscious of the fact that we are down at the daily 100. And I would be very careful of just slamming puts all day, because that is likely to be frustrating, right? I would say that it will be a frustrating short, because I don't think you're just going to free flow down past that 100. If you do, that would be a very interesting and surprising move, and we would have to react to it, right? Good traders react to price action, and so that's what we'll have to do. All right. How does it make sense that one stock? Because, I mean, that's just because NVIDIA will affect all semiconductors, and the semiconductors absolutely run this market right now. The semiconductor sector is a huge driver of the stock market. It has basically been the entire driver of the stock market, to be quite honest, of at least the NASDAQ. And if NVIDIA reports bad and all semis go down, that will bring the SMH down, and that will bring tech down with it. So that's just how the market works. So going over to the SMH, I really don't have much for you. The SMH is just sitting at this demand low. Really don't have much interest in trading this at all. I really don't have much interest in trading any semiconductors today. I'm not touching NVIDIA. I'm not touching AMD, even though AMD is at a major demand low. Remember this level that we've had? AMD is sitting at a major demand low. That's an interesting spot. Broadcom really not doing a whole hell of it's doing nothing, actually. MU finally pulled back a little bit, but boy, oh boy, do I not trust this at all. I'm just not really getting a good read on this. So semiconductors pretty much out of the picture for me today. I want nothing to do with semiconductor nonsense before this NVIDIA earnings. Tomorrow's a new day to trade semis. Tomorrow's the best day to trade semis, right? Without a doubt. Tomorrow will be the best day to hop on some semi action. Whatever side that may be, that'll be the action to take, be a part of. So just going to leave the semis alone today. What I'm actually more interested in today is the IWM and a few of these small cap pullbacks. Russell is down at a very big level. If you go to the daily chart and you zoom out, you will see this, right? The Russell is sitting right at this major daily previous high here. So major daily highs here, major daily high here, major daily lows, and look where you're sitting. Look where you bounced off of yesterday. It's actually quite a nice spot. If you go to the weekly chart, you can see here on the weekly chart, on the IWM, that you are retesting a major weekly high. Right here, look at this. Major weekly high right there. Look at this retest. So if the IWM can try to find some life off this low, right? Try to find some life on this pullback. Try to sort of curl back higher just a little bit. I think there's some interesting names to be watching if that does occur. Now, what do I need to see for that to happen? I would want to see us reclaim right here. That's why I have an alert right there. I would want to see us get back above this low right here. If we get back above that low, if we get something like this, then I think you could see that sort of reversal move start to take place. Until then, I'll sort of lay low, but that would be the move right there. So I'll get into some names that I'm watching for potential just sort of relief bounces, really. Pauses on the downside that could cause some relief bounces. So first thing, let's go into Tesla. Tesla provided a nice short yesterday, but didn't provide the big short, right? The big short was under 396.34. Excuse me. The big short was under 396.34. We did not get that. It faked under that, bounced, and then Tesla basically just stayed sideways the entire rest of the day. So, yeah, I'm starting to get uninterested. It needs to get over 414.50. It needs to get under 396.34. Without that, you are trading inside of this disgusting sideways action, and I will probably leave that alone until it reacts. So waiting for that to happen. Really nothing on Apple. It's just sitting right at this major low without any life, man. This thing is lifeless lately. It's been trading in this, I don't even know, what is this, like a 2% channel? It's been trading in this, yeah, a little bit more, 4% channel for a month. So really not interesting there. Google, somewhat interesting today, and I'll show you why. Google filled the gap. So you can see right here, Google filled not the full gap to the close right here, but pretty much the full gap to this high right here at 279. Also filled down into that daily 20. And Google is also very strong this morning. So I'm actually somewhat interested in Google after filling this gap right here down to the daily 20. Do we get back above 291 today? If we get back above 291, is there a Google outperformance here? So this is somewhat interesting to me. Google over 291. I would be watching that after filling that gap. So that's one thing I'll be watching with a little bit more intent. Amazon, really nice short from our Monday session, guys. We took that beautiful short on Amazon, and it's been down all week since. This is really what set it up right here. You can see that previous low turning into fails. That is a perfect break, retest, rejection. That is so good right there, right? That is so good. Now, unfortunately, I think Amazon trade is over. It did fully fill the gap that we were waiting on. You can see right here, full gap fill. And to me, that is now over, to be honest. So that trade's done. Google is definitely more interesting there. Some more that I like today. There's actually a few that I quite like that I'll at least be watching. So let me run through those real quick. Number one is Palantir. I think Palantir is potentially creating an opportunity here. It may be early, but it's definitely coming down into major spots. You can see right here, Palantir is trading into these major previous highs and this major previous hold level right here at 161, 163. And you can see over the last 3 trading days, you've sort of just been stabilizing right at that key level. You can see today that we're not really getting much off this level yet, but I would be watching what happens down here. I think this is an interesting area to be watching what Palantir does, right? Like this is at least at its demand level. Previous highs, previous lows, and look at the holds that are starting to come in here. So there is definitely interest in whether Palantir can maybe find that next move, right? Maybe trade back up into this channel high. Hold this channel right here. Hold the lows. Can it hold this major spot? If it can't hold there, then it'll come down to here at 150, which would be a great spot. But I could see, the case for Palantir sort of giving us a little bit of action off this low. So I will be watching it. We're still going to have to be careful of every day's previous high, right? Previous high, previous high. So there's a lot of landmines above here still of maybe just potential failures. But I do want to see what the price action looks like off this low today. That's interesting to me. I will be watching that. The next one is actually Oklo, believe it or not. Oklo is very interesting today. Oklo is actually very strong in the pre-market, up almost $6 per share in the pre-market today. There was some news today. Oklo and Siemens Energy sign binding contract for design, delivery, power. Yep, okay. So there's some news this morning on Oklo, some juice off this low, and this again is the exact pullback level. Like this is it, right? Look at Oklo. Look where we're at. We're at these previous highs. And we're sitting right there at that 85.90 spot. So that's actually quite interesting. Big spot, nice pullback, quality pullback, necessary pullback, may I add, of over 52%, right? So basically cut in half from the highs, right? Cut in half from the highs. Not bad. That's something we needed. That needed to be done. And we talked, I was selling my Oklo shares at 170. So we nailed this thing. Absolutely nailed this thing in terms of this run up and the cool off. So very happy about that. I am now interested in whether it's time to reconsider, right? Because technically you are right back to this weekly high. You have given back this extreme froth that's, really just sort of ridiculous. And giving that fully back is now interesting to see if it can hold back up. So you can see off this low, look what Oklo's starting to do. And with this news this morning, you're starting to get some holds down here, all right? So I'm definitely intrigued by Oklo. I think it could run up to that 123 spot here, back into that daily 50, back into that daily 20. I think that is very possible. If you can break over maybe this Friday high here, I would be very intrigued by that today. Right here, like this 106.80. So this is probably one of my top watches, actually. Oklo to the upside. Hood, another one that I think you should watch for pullbacks, right? Hood's, been on a nice slide from the highs, cutting about, $40 a share off its stock price, right around 27-30%. You are right back into these highs, right back into that 110 spot. You might need the gap fill back to maybe like this 101, but I think this zone on Hood is actually quite an interesting spot to curl back higher. So I'm watching Hood down there. That's something I'll be watching as well. So the three sort of you know, the three juicers at one time were what? Those three big names that everyone was just salivating over was Oklo, Hood, and Palantir. Those were like the big three. Those are the big three sort of very exciting to trade runners, you know, three stocks. And so they've all gave quality pullbacks. Palantir, Hood, and Oklo have all cooled off. And I think it's time to be getting interested again before everyone else is getting interested again, right? I think it's time to start, you know, smelling around. What are those things doing, right? I think you keep an eye on them soon. Personally, that's something I will be watching. So, Netflix, big, strong day yesterday, needs to break 117. 117 on Netflix is the must-break level. I would wait for that. The other two stocks that I would keep an eye out for, and these are stocks that we talked about, is the two crazy movers, SanDisk and that Western Digital. You guys remember we were talking about these when they were just straight up? Well, over the last 3 days, they've given you some pullbacks. So I'm sort of intrigued by that. You can see here SanDisk has pulled back close to that daily 20, right? Came back down to this previous high. And, you know, if it creates this flagging action again off this 20, this could get interesting again, for sure, right? Nice pullback, quality pullback, necessary pullback. Still definitely very extended, but that's possibly a spot to be watching here, the daily 20 on SNDK, SanDisk. And you can see right here, these previous double top highs likely become a nice support at 214. So I'm watching that 214 SNDK. And then that WDC, Western Digital, another really strong sort of obnoxious upside move. I still think that the 137 pullback would be the absolute money trade right here. That would be sick. But I would watch that daily 20 as well. You can see yesterday we actually maintained right at that daily 20. Excuse me. So those are interesting. The next one that's interesting is APP. Take a look at this, right? It's time to start searching for some pullbacks, I think, right? Let's make sure we're understanding of what's moving lower and where it's moving lower to, right? Let me sort of put a timeline here for you, right? This is a timeline, right? Let's talk about timeline. Let's say there's, I don't know if I need 3 or 2, but let's just say that's a timeline, right? Right here is the start of the downside, okay? That's the start of the downside right there, okay? Here is where you have to start, you know, where you're making money on the downside, right? Money, that's the money day, you know, few money days to the downside. All through here, you're making money on the downside, juice, downside, really nice opportunities, and we make our money on the downside. At some point on this downside move, it's going to slow down. The money on the downside is going to slow down. People are going to lose touch with where you're trading down to, right? You'll start to lose touch with where you're actually trading down to because you're so focused on the downside and you're so wrapped up in the downside opportunities. And there will be a day where it will flip, right? The correct thing to do will flip into looking for where we've pulled back to and where those big demands start to step up and where the opportunity actually flips on the drop of a dime. It'll flip to actually looking for where the upside comes back in. So you have to sort of be nimble here. There's going to be a point where, yes, it was a great downside move and I loved every second of it, but I also don't want to be caught shorting into major demands now. After stocks have been off, you know, Oklo's off 50%, Palantir's off 20-something%, right? These are pretty decent drops across big names. So, you know, APP is off 21% from its high here. And so watch out for this high right here, right? You can see APP, major high, gap area here, daily 100 SMA, huge reasons for APP to sort of hold up here. So this is sort of where I would say, all right, let me back off the short here. This doesn't really make sense to short anymore into that weekly level, into that 100 SMA, and maybe, just maybe, the opportunity is actually to look to see if this can curl back higher, right? So it's like you short, you back off the short, and then you long. So I'm sort of right in here today, right? I was short the last few days. I'm sort of getting closer to just the back off of the short, but I'm not quite at the long state yet. I'm sort of right in the back off the short, the BS zone, right? I'm like, all right, hold on. Let's not just get, googly-eyed to just keep shorting these lows. Let's back it off for a second, and then maybe, just maybe, that flips to a really aggressive long. So that's today. That's sort of like that's today for me. And it also, with NVIDIA earnings, I think that's a very good reason to have that mindset for me. Also, with what the market's doing off the daily 100, that's also a good reason in my book. So, hey, whether you like it or not, that's my thesis today. You don't have to accept it. You don't got to like it, but I think that's a pretty mature thing to be thinking about today. Best of luck. If you guys want to trade live with me, check out the link down below for the Black Friday sale. I think we're extending it a day. There's been a lot of people that are like, hey, man, I made a lot of money with you yesterday, and I want to withdraw that money and pay for the Black Friday, and I love that. That's awesome, man. If you made some money on Tesla yesterday for free with us, and you can just pay for the community with that profit from yesterday, I mean, that's a free year right there. So hell yeah. I mean, that's the ultimate move right there for sure. So we gave some people more time to do that. We got a lot of messages on that, actually. You probably don't believe me, right? You're probably, this guy's just bloating. But I promise, hand on the heart, we got messages about that yesterday. So that's pretty awesome. So anyways, appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. Hope this helped you prepare for the day. That's really what the most important thing is. We're going to jump over to the group, do some live trading today. I am going to trade live with the community today. Typically, today is the Wednesday mentorship day, but being that we have some people that joined yesterday, I want to be there for them here today on Wednesday. But typically, to you guys that are watching that are new to the group, I do not trade with the group on Wednesdays. And please understand that. Today I will. I'll make an exception because of the influx of some people joining to make sure I'm there for you. But just know that this is not an everyday occurrence. Usually it's ADR on Wednesdays, and I'm with the group. So appreciate that, guys. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for all the likes. Can we get 1,500 before I get off? Can I get 1,500? 200 more, maybe? 200 more likes? What do I got to do to get 200 more likes? You want me to dance? Do you want me to dance for you? Thanks, Masa. Jay Haas. Take it easy, Jay. 100 more. You want me to dance, Dirk? All right, I'll dance for you. Yeah. All right, we got it. 1,500. Boom. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace and love.